Here's why tinnitus is more brutal for some people than other people. There's different components in a person's personality and psychology that really make them suffer more from tinnitus than with other people. And to me, one of the big things seems like if you have a history of anxiety or overthinking, that that seems to be one of the things that every person I've worked with has in common. And for me, that was I used to suffer from anxiety and I overthought and I had that, my mind wouldn't slow down and it was just kind of always running, for me. And that's one big thing that people have in common who suffer from tinnitus. And that's what really made me realize like, okay, this is a thought, like the suffering, the bothersome aspect of tinnitus really is it's kind of like a thought disorder. It's psychological. Um, Not the sound. The sound's a physical sound. I always have to say that because people are like, "You're saying the sounds in my head." I'm not saying that. Calm down. The sound is real. It's a real perception that your brain is making, or it's real. The the suffering component, that's psychological. That is in your head. Well, the sound is in your head too. It's technically all in your head. Technically, all the reality is you perceive it in your head. But you get shot in the arm, and that's your brain's interpreting those pain signals as in your head. Yes, the pain is in your head. So anyway, here's another thing you have to realize that people with tinnitus who haven't confronted elements of themselves that they've tried to stay away from, meaning that insecurity, shame, regret, stuff like that, things that they've been avoiding. Maybe someone has had a very painful childhood, and because of that they were never really able to develop into the person that they wanted to be, and they avoided that. And then they went through life with this sort of like this persona that they had their lives together, like I'm the musician, or I'm the pastor, or any identity that they've kind of assumed that. But there's not all the there's something deeper that they never really got to and accepted or healed. What ends up happening is like then that person kind of clings to that mask like it's armor, and without it they feel a sense of loss of control, and that feels like they're dying to the person who's clinging to like the mask like of their identity. And you can always see this as clear as day by how people respond. I'm ever since my awakening, I'm like I can just see right through bullshit, man. Like I can just see like nothing fools me. Like people think they're fooling me, they're not fooling me. I can see through it all. It's a gift and a curse, right? If you can see you can just see ego so easily, and you're just like, it's funny. But the reason I say this is because those types of people, and everyone has undealt with trauma and pain in their lives. But that type of person, because they're clinging to control, they're used to being in control. When they come up with something like bothersome tinnitus, which you can't control, it's uncontrollable. It's they're forced to take the mask off. They're forced to have to face reality, and they can't control it. These are the people who run to cures because a cure is a form of control. Why I'm suffering because of big pharma can't get their shit together. Stuff like that. They're unable to surrender because surrendering feels like death to them. They've never surrendered. They clung to an identity that was false, so they didn't have to surrender. Because when you look inward and you see shame and you see pain and you see like regret and a lot of stuff that you don't like, you never ever ever want to any sort of introspection or self-reflection or anything like that. Because if you do, the ego can't handle that. It can't handle that at all. So tinnitus is it forces that. It really forces you to be like, I am not in control, and the control I thought I had was really just an illusion. That's terrifying for people. And this is I believe a big reason why a lot of people get stuck, because there is a you have to surrender to the realization that you don't control tinnitus, and if you don't control tinnitus, how much more of life do you not even are you not even in control of? Like, I'm sitting in this chair right now, and I believe I made the decision to sit in the chair, but I didn't create the chair. And you can go so far with this where you're like, you realize like the thoughts that come into your head aren't even yours. Like, thoughts just come in and out of your head. Like, try not to think. Sit there and try not to think. A thought will probably blast in your head in 5 seconds. So it's like, how much in control really are we? And when you come up to something like tinnitus, you're like face to face with the realization that you are by and large not in control, like the way you've always thought, or like the way that your ego has always thought. That is painful. And that people cling to that control, because to let go is to have to face the real them inwardly. There's a lot of shame, a lot of regret, a lot of pain, a lot of I'm not good enough. I had to do all of these things, check all these boxes in order to be good enough. I couldn't give myself the validation. I have to get the validation from outside. I have to make more money to be validated. I have to be more successful to be validated. I have to be smarter to be validated. They're seeking their validation from the world. They don't know how to internally give themselves a validation. That's a good indicator on someone that will have a hard time with bothersome tinnitus. And that's a complicating psychological issue. It needs heavy psychology to help someone with that specific issue. I think to get to soften them to a point to where they're able to surrender into tinnitus and pursue the path of habituation. But it's a complicated multi-component situation, and it's funny because when I came to the realization that I wasn't in control like I thought, it was terrifying, but it was liberating at the same. So I was like, I'm like, if I'm not the creator of my thoughts, then why am I going to get bent out of shape about every thought that comes into my head? I'm not even creating my thoughts. I just let them come in and let them leave, and you know, it was like I was able to just like relax and be like, I'm gonna be fine. I have a ringing. It's okay. It's gonna be fine. It's not the end of the world. It's just a sound, you know. And for me, that I wouldn't have been able to get to that level, to the level of habituation that I'm at, if I wouldn't have completely surrendered. If I wouldn't have completely surrendered. So, anyway, I'm gonna stop the video here. But yeah, it's funny because if you realize like, okay, I'm that person you're talking about, and I need to surrender so that I can habituate. And yes, I have a lot of if you're able to like have that sort of introspection and be like, I can't never be wrong. I have to always be right. My entire identity is based on, everything that, how much money I made, or my identity, or I'm a rock star, all this other stuff. But then I'm ready to I'm ready to face my inner pain and heal and recover. Like, if you have that much insight and that much introspection, like, damn, wow. Like, I mean, anything is possible at that point. Like, nothing impossible doesn't even really exist for you at that point, because you have done so much inner work just in realizing that. So there is a silver lining, and anyway, make sure to comment below. I really appreciate everyone supporting this channel. Always here to help and guide and give back to humanity. If you want, check out my habituation app, 7-day free trial, $29 a month, just cheap as it can possibly get. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you later. Peace.